Okay, so looking at page 4 of your practice PDF, make sure you have out your periodic table and a calculator if you do not already. Oh, I wrote 8. I meant 4. I'm sorry, pregnancy brain. It just happens. Okay. Page 4, number 1. And they give us a reaction. It says tin 2 fluoride, or SNF2, is used in some toothpaste. It's made by the reaction of tin with hydrogen fluoride according to the following equation. And then they give you the equation. Again, my advice is always copy the equation down. Always copy the equation down. If you're doing something on paper and the problem you're looking at is on your computer, you should copy the equation down. It helps to be able to write on it. Then they say how many grams of SNF2, so that's what we're looking for. That's our unknown. How many grams of SNF2 are produced from the reaction of 30 grams of HF with SN? So they're saying we're using this reaction, HF with SN, 30 grams of HF with SN, and they're asking us about this. Don't let that wording confuse you. When they say in the problem, they say like 30.0 grams of HF with tin. Don't let that wording confuse you. Tin is not going to enter your calculations at all. They're just saying, hey, they mean this reaction. That's all they're saying. We mean this reaction. They're not saying also use tin in your calculations. The only things you need in your calculations are the species that they gave you a number for and the species that they're asking you for grams for. You will never do any stoichiometry that uses 3 species in the same calculation, okay? If you're trying to use 3 different species in the same calculation, you're trying too hard, and you need to reread the problem. You should only ever have one mole bridge going between, like starting in one chemical, ending with a different chemical, and that's it. So, for instance, this mole bridge, where is it going to start? Where does our mole bridge start? The mole bridge being those like arrows we were drawing. Starts on HF. That's where they gave us a number, so that's where it's going to start. And where is it going to point? The SNF2, because that's what they're asking us to find. We don't actually, for purposes of the calculations in this problem, we don't actually like need the 10 or the H2. The only thing we needed them for was to balance the reaction, but this reaction, they gave it to us balanced, so we don't even need them at all. Okay, so like we discussed in that little warm-up, we're going to go from grams of HF to grams of SNF2. So what do we have to do in the middle? Moles of HF first, and then moles of SNF2. That's what we're going to have to do. So we're going to start with the 30.0 grams of HF that they gave us. And if we have grams of HF on top, where else do we need to write grams of HF to cancel them out? Yeah, the bottom, the diagonal. What goes up must come down. Okay. And if we're changing it to moles, then on top we should write moles. Because we cannot switch from HF to SNF2 until we have moles. You have to remember these coefficients are numbers of moles. These coefficients are numbers of moles. So we can't change HF to SNF2 until we have moles. I personally like to fill in all my units first and then go back and fill in the numbers. So I'm doing like all the puzzle piecing all in a row, and then the numbers is kind of the easy part, in my opinion. But if it really bothers you to not have numbers there, you can go ahead and fill them in right now. But I'm going to keep going with all my units and make sure I've got my problems set up before I do a whole bunch of math. So again, what goes up must come down. If I have moles of HF on top, then to cancel them out, I'm also going to write them on the diagonal. So that'll cancel the grams, that'll cancel moles of HF. Now I'm ready to get on the mole bridge. So to get on the mole bridge, what am I going to have to pay? The mole toll. How much is the mole toll this time to get on? 2 moles of HF. And then if I drive across the bridge, look, I'll draw a little car. There you go. There. I'm not a great artist. Pretend it's a car. Okay. We're driving across the bridge. All right. And to get off the bridge, they're going to make me pay again. And how much do I have to pay to get off the bridge?
No, it was 1. Oh.
Yeah, that's a 1. 1 mole of SNF2. Okay, now that's not going to be finishing the problem yet because they didn't want moles either. They wanted grams. So we're going to have to cancel those moles out. And once we've canceled the moles out, then we can convert to grams. And now if I double check, this problem setup should work. I canceled out grams of HF. I turn it into moles of HF. I canceled those out and used the mole bridge to change chemicals. Then I canceled those moles out and I'm ending on grams of my new chemical. This should work. So now we just got to fill in these leftover numbers. When you have grams and moles in the same fraction, what number do you always use for moles? 1. Always. Always. If you have grams and moles in the same fraction, it will always be 1 mole. And where do your grams come from? The periodic table. So we're going to have to add up HF using your periodic table. And checking your sig figs. And we're going to have to add up SNF2. Then you can do all the math in your calculator at once. I'll give you a moment to catch up to me before I write the answer on the board. How many sig figs should my answer have? How many does this number have? 5. How many does this number have? 4. How many does this number have? 3. These mole ratios, how many sig figs do they have? Infinite. So out of infinity, 5, 4, and 3, what's the smallest? 3. So my answer should have how many sig figs? 3.